since they
All
did.
right, well, I'll just share the Facebook one then. I've never heard of Facebook paying anybody for any views whatsoever.
I mean, they basically want you to pay. Like they like you
I
gonna
mean, yeah,
market.
that's how they do.
You gonna market your stuff. You're like, but I don't want to. It's like, then you ain't gonna progress. And you be like, what? It's ridiculous. Oh, Jerry. Oh. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually really excited to talk to you about all this stuff because I haven't talked to you about any of this
No, it's
stuff.
gonna be good. It's gonna be a good show,
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah, this is going to be like the most all natural show talk that we've had where we don't like talk about it before the show starts.
Oh man.
Uh, all right, folks. So welcome to this week's episode of State of the Nerd Union. I'm Jerry, and this is the fantastic Commander Ship right here. I'm sorry, saying Commander Ship made me think about your story you were talking about earlier this week with your roster. They
Oh,
thought you were
Sergeant
joking.
Bodie Face. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was technically not wrong. It's the second best kind of right.
You know, yeah, it's just like your nickname or something like that. You still call your place the
We've not
port?
called it that. We'll probably do that when we buy the new house. So if I had to guess, I think that get a plaque, get like
Okay.
a, because we used to have the piece of cardboard in the window. So probably get a legit wooden sign or something made up for the house.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I'm gonna just start buying you all sorts of like portwear, like
How
some
dare
old
you.
ropes and stuff.
There you go.
Ah! All right, well tonight, y'all, we've got a lot of various news in all sorts of departments. We're getting better about not just being gaming stuff because the news is finally starting to have things going on besides gaming. We're gonna be talking about some Wandavision rumors, specifically talking about a Jimmy Woo and Darcy series, which everyone on the internet is excited about. Some reactions to the Golden Globe nominations, a leaked 360 Goldeneye game, and unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately, depends on where you stand on it. We're talking about the Google Stadia and a number of other game things and a number of other TV shows stuff. So, as we get into it, we're going to start off with some gaming news. So, apparently, we've got a little bit of news about E3 this year. For those of you who don't know, E3 is like it's like the biggest event in gaming, honestly. They like announce all sorts of new video games. It's when we kind of like start preparing our wallets for what's to come or start writing our wills for our wallets because it's going to die. They are saying that there will be updates coming soon of a digital event or a possible digital event. So last year, for those who don't know, last year they had to cancel it because COVID. It normally happens in California. They've been letting the public finally show up because it's been kind of like a press only event for a long time. I think it was the year before last was the first time they had it be a public event, and then COVID happened, so they couldn't do a second one like that. This year, rumors are having it that we're going to be having a digital event instead, which, yay, because we didn't get anything last year at all, but also, I don't know if I would rather than just do nothing at this point, but at the same time, thinking about how many people were tuning into like the PS5 and the Xbox One X Xbox Series X review. These names are so complicated on this thing. The Xbox Series X reveal, it might do well still, as long as we got like a good schedule ahead of time out, and it might be actually easier for publishers to get access to this. If one of the things that we've seen out of COVID is that it's really actually given a lot of small time publishers a bigger chance to highlight what they're doing, just because everything's digital and it's easier to access for publishers because they don't have to have a ton of money to be able to host their own events or show up at this thing and fly their staff out, create a booth, and all this other craziness. Like they can just be and set up something online. And since their publishers are already doing things online, like they're good to go. So I can see good things about that. Kenny, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I think it's very similar to the movie festivals that the amount of money that you have to put forth to get your independent film out, even though festivals are generally geared towards indie festival, or sorry, to like that indie director, like it's still work getting yourself to that. But yeah, I think about the amount of movies that were shown across the world to even like Chicago Film Festival or what's happening at Sundance right now. And it's not saying the directors would never, like again, that small crop of directors would never get out there, but they're definitely getting much more opportunity than they ever would. And then you think about focusing on games, like that indie developer, like you think back to, what was it? Xbox Live Arcade. Was that the first? And then like the
Yeah.
WiiWare shop. I'm trying to think of, like the early indie console spots to like find stuff, and how that's blossomed from there. Like, but yeah, this is like a big amount of exposure that they'd have to pay. I forget what the booth fees and things are, and I'm sure there's going to be some kind of online component to that, to where they're going to be like, you got to pay for, like, almost like paying and being the ad booklet. They'd be like, yeah, if you want to be able to get this amount of visibility, like, and I don't know what that would actually end up being like, but it's got to be cheaper than trying to get an E3 booth. Just, I mean, yeah, has
exactly.
to be. So yeah, like it from the exposure ability.
Yeah. And as press members, I'm actually pretty excited about it because they're basically allowing us to schedule like meetings ahead of time with them. Which for people like us, like that's huge. It's way easier to access. It's going to be great to be able to ask questions and stuff. There's also going to be plans for some playable demos. I don't actually know what that looks like. I don't know if that means playable demos for like us press members or if it means playable demos for like the general public. But as soon as we find out, we'll let you know. We're going to try to jump in on that and try to get some news going for you guys. But I'm glad that there's going to be something, I guess. I just wanted it to be done well. Because, like, yes, we could talk about, oh, we're going to have this cool online thing, but we've seen some do really well with that and other ones do really badly. Like, so for example, the Sony PS5 reveal, I'm not going to buy a PS5, but man, it was awesome. Like, it was such a great reveal, and I was almost on that train until they revealed, like, all their stuff is also going to be on PS4. But they did a really good job with it. It was really engaging. They had a lot of good, well-made videos. It just was a well-done set of things. So I don't think it's impossible. I'm really curious about how the press stuff will be with that, as far as like interviews with press members and letting them ask questions in front of like a live audience, where, like they usually do, where we get answers for stuff. But I guess we'll just have to see what happens.
Have to see. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like the it's like so I'll use the film festival as an example. So you're talking about like ways to play it. We had like limited codes, so it's like you can watch the movie from this window.
Right.
Like it's like, so usually when the festival started, you'd have the whole week of eligibility, and then once you put in the code, it'd be like a rental. You have 24 hours to play it. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone could set a system up like that, or like a like a demo download. Like, hey, this is on the Xbox Store now. So if you want to play it right now, this is your time to go download it with this code, and that shouldn't be too difficult.
That's true.
I guess the only thing I would imagine is that if you weren't already planning to do a demo, like if you were going to like, oh, we got some code we're going to have ready to play at the expo, but we weren't ready to have that any kind of like download capacity, that might be the only hurdle for some of the smaller studios, or even like it's not just small, I guess even the bigger studios. It's like, yeah, if you weren't planning on doing a demo, you're like, crap, we gotta get something out there for people to play. Like that kind of setup might be a little harder than in previous years.
Yeah, I will say we've done some stuff here where I've reviewed a couple things, and it's been like, I'll get like a scaled down version of something, and then like, so I'll play through that and kind of get an impression on it, and then like when the game comes out, it just automatically upgrades into the full version, like a normal update. So they could do some stuff like that, especially if these are people that they're gonna let like review their content anyways. Like, you've already got access to it, just automatically updates when the stuff comes out. It might be an easier way to manage all that. But we'll have to see what happens with that. In other news, some of you guys might have heard some stuff about Chris Pratt recently. People have varying opinions about Chris Pratt across the board. I think Kenny thinks he's probably the worst of the Chris's. Easily. And we've seen the Chris's, we mean Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, and Chris Pratt. But now, anyways. So recently, there were some tweets that came out. Yes. Am I correct?
So there's been a series of tweets in the past. There's some recent ones, but there's also just some in the past. And it's like, we could talk about his church affiliation and things like that. As far as like him not coming out strongly on what he believes or doesn't believe in relation to that church. But there are definitely some tweets that are like, if you knew what you think of Chris Pratt, you would not really bat an eye at these tweets. And then some other people did some digging and like, this is fake. Not just like someone taking a photo of a tweet and altering it, because there's ways to make fake tweets if you just, if you're going to make up an exchange just in like to make a meme. It's like, yeah, there's way, but you could also technically attribute it to someone's blue check mark. But it's more involved than that, of like yeah, someone was actually into his account and or really pushing hard to make this seem legitimate, and it just wasn't. So if you don't like Chris Pratt, that's up to you and so on and so forth. But for these tweets, that actually turns out to not be the case. You know.
Do you know what the tweets were like exactly? Because
I mean, a lot of them were gone anyway.
Okay.
So a lot of them were deleted, and that I think that's actually one of the things that helped them narrow down of like, wait, when was it posted? It's like when did he? You know, it was like
right.
As good as the internet is at screenshotting things, it's like there's suspiciously never a like origin trail for this.
Like nobody has a screenshot. Nobody. That's pretty sus.
So it may have come out of thin air, not on his actual Twitter account. So yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, that's interesting. Speaking of superheroes, though, apparently we're gonna get some more superheroes in the game Fortnite. And when I say superheroes, yes, superheroes. So those of you guys who play Fortnite and know about the Fortnite's crew, I think is what it's called. I play Fortnite and I don't actually engage in this because I just don't want it. You'll know that they added Stephen Amell's Green Arrow to it as like one of the primary character skins that you can get for your character. Next in the game, it seems we're going to be getting the Flash, and we're gonna like Grant Gustin's Flash in the game, or at least that's what the skin looks like to me.
Yeah, I got the
Kenny,
picture.
I don't know if you have the picture.
And I apologize for the quick edit job.
Okay, cool.
I just saw on there. That was not my intention.
That happens. We're just doing this, and we're being real people with it. So the Flash skin's gonna be coming to the Fortnite shop, which, like, I guess that's cool, but like, there's also this jarring idea of like Barry Allen running around with a gun. Like,
honestly, I think more DC heroes, Batman included, should run around with guns. Okay, the Thomas Wayne Batman, gunned up gunslinger. That makes sense. Okay, some of y'all just.
Okay, yeah, but like, that's Thomas Wayne Batman. Like, there's also like a Bruce Wayne Batman skin in there that's running around with a gun, and that's really weird. But I will say, playing as Mando in that game, running around with a gun, feels entirely appropriate.
That's accurate. Honestly, we should get some special Mando weapons. Like, give me the staff. Give me the
there are
little wrist launcher.
Yeah. So that ambient sniper rifle. Okay, not that one. You can get the sniper rifle that he has though, and it is stupidly powerful. It's also really hard to get because you have to beat Mando to get it, and it is not the simplest task in the world.
It hasn't been in the show, so I would imagine.
That's true.
If it was, I'd be like,
fair points.
WTF? Yeah.
But yeah, so that's going to be coming out. We don't have a release date for that yet. It's kind of like a leak from the Fortnite VR account. You can go check that on Twitter.
But yeah, I don't.
It's supposed to have. Yeah. The Flash Cup, I think, is supposed to take place on the 10th. So, yeah. Theoretically, you'll be able to get it after that. So, we'll see what happens. As far as purchasing it goes, we don't know. It'll probably be up for V-Bucks after that, like they did with the Daredevil skins and the Black Widow skins. So, if you're interested in that, go check that out.
Taryn says, good job watching the language, Commander. I'm trying to make sure I keep it kid-friendly, you know, and
it's a good skill. It really just helps us to not have the 18 plus filter on here for the algorithm, because then everyone can watch. Oh boy. All right, so we've got some other news that sort of has to do with video game stuff. So Netflix was rumored for a long time to be producing a Legend of Zelda series. That got confirmed, kind of.
Okay.
So it came out because of a leak, but Nintendo's not really down with leaks, and they will shut everything down apparently because of it.
This oddly involves Adam Conover from Adam Ruins Everything and the College Humor crew.
Yeah.
And I was trying to wrap my head around what in the world was going on. So they were jokingly making kind of like a claymation Star Fox Mr. Fantastic Fox kind of style claymation show that wasn't Zelda focused first. It was more like, okay, we're just gonna do this thing. We want to do some Star Fox characters, and we'll be like Fantastic Fox. Then Shigeru, Mr. Miyamoto himself, came over to check out the project, liked it, apparently, and also that's where it kind of evolved into doing the Zelda piece, and Also got them related into this Netflix, which is going to be a separate project as well. So there's like the College Humor skit that was going to evolve into a show, and there's also the Netflix and Zelda component of it. But when that got out, Nintendo was like, nope, we're done. Not even like, no, we're not. I'm not talking about like, not how Marvel would typically handle a leak, which is like kind of maybe poke at Mark Ruffalo and be like, what did you say, Mark? They were like, we're out, we're done. The whole thing is killed. So that killed the College Humor, like at least the approved College Humor doing it, and then it killed the Netflix project as well. So that is a bummer, because come on, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, that's not that leaks happen. Like, it's not that, like, lean into it. Be like, hey, we got stuff to show you. And then I know Nintendo has historically been nervous working with other studios. Like, they've only really done it a few times. Like, I mean, obviously we know Pokemon Company, which turned into its own thing and still under that umbrella. Niantic with Pokemon.
Right.
Rare Once Upon a Time, which hey, we're gonna get to another Rare story later. Rare now being under Microsoft, but again, that was not Nintendo. I'm trying to remember who they kicked Metroid off. They've done this twice. Metroid originally, the other M was, I think that was Konami. I have to go double check that, or it might have been Capcom. It was definitely not a, like, it is Nintendo approved. But it was
different. But it was like
and
different.
But the new studio that's doing Metroid as well is kind of in that same kind of. So I understand, like, it's hard to get. Oh, also there's the Capcom Star Fox Assault.
I forgot about that.
It's not that they won't do it, but they're hesitant, and it's not gonna be Mario.
Yeah.
You know, Mario and Zelda. It's not that they're better per se.
I mean, Mario did have the crossover with the Rabbids.
But I mean, even that was like, well, you know, that's a good point. Ubisoft is I just feel like it's
Ubisoft.
But they're not gonna do like
Games.
a main entry Mario. They're not gonna let them do. Whereas like Metroid and stuff, let people do main entries. Like Zelda and Mario seem to be like the
right.
No one else could touch these.
It's because Mario is Miyamoto's son. Remember?
Yes, that is in fact correct. So definitely go check out Engadget's got a good write up on it. I think Adam Conover's got into like a series of tweets as well, kind of explaining what happened as well. So go give that article a look, and it goes into more detail. But man, this could have been a cool alternate history with that live action Zelda, and it hurts.
So for the record, though, Adam did not ruin the Legend of Zelda series.
I know he associated his name with it, so I don't want people to be like, Conover, it's your fault. How dare you? It's like, no.
That would be a really funny episode, though. Like, what if they had like an Adam ruins everything episode where like he's getting blamed for that? He's like, wait, no, I didn't ruin this.
I had its back. I was working towards its success.
Like, this one's not on me, guys.
Oh man,
that would be great. Speaking of things that are getting ruined, so for all of you 5 Anthem lovers out there, I've got some friends who like Anthem. There's like 2 of them.
But the headline of the article, just EA is let's put this in context. I know you're about to explain it. Before you say that, I just want to put this in context. EA reportedly is considering what to do with Anthem, and I'm like,
yep.
You mean the thing that's already dead? What do you mean you're there's nothing to consider here? Do you mean you rebooting it, refreshing it, maybe to try to like put a pulse back into the thing? Like that would be like they're talking about it in terms as if trying to think, I guess let's say like Destiny. It's like Destiny's live, Destiny's running well, Destiny has its community. You can't talk about it in those terms. It's not like that. It's just,
yeah.
Sorry, it's just not. It's not even close. Can't even compare to subscriber bases.
Yeah, it's. All right, so for those who don't know, Anthem is a game that came out that was sort of a Destiny clone-ish. Just that same feel. It didn't do well. Like, it launched and people were like, yay, and then they found out there wasn't a whole lot to do afterwards, kind of like Marvel's Avengers. So I said what I said. So now the game is not well populated, to say the least, as far as players go. And people are wondering what's happening with it. EA is apparently deciding what they're going to do with it. And they had originally said that they were going to kind of do this thing called like Anthem 2.0, where they were going to reboot a bunch of things and change up some stuff. I assume it was going to be kind of similar to like how Final Fantasy 14 like rebooted their whole thing once it like bombed like massively. It did rebound into like the greatest MMO ever. Yeah, I said what I said. Y'all WoW players who haven't played it, go play that and let me know. So that's what the plan was. It was going to be like switched over to this thing called Anthem Next, but they're apparently deciding soon whether or not they're actually going to continue the Anthem series. We don't really have much more information about that, and they're not really going to comment. EA said that they're not going to comment on like rumor and speculation. But theoretically, the fate of Anthem should be getting decided sometime within like this week. So we'll get back to you next week about that and let you know. But we just want to let you know what's up.
I guess to be
for all you guys who like Anthem,
I guess to be fair, I should go back and replay to see if I can compare it to Destiny 1. And I think Destiny 1 would be a fair comparison because
yeah, that'd be good.
At least when Destiny 2 came out, Destiny had such a good core to it that it's like, we just need you to like tweak some things and get more content, and this will be fine. So like, we can argue about some of the microtransactions, right. But there was, even I never felt like those were as egregious as other series. Like there was nothing about it that made me be like, oh man, I hate these micros so much. Like they were annoying. They just we can talk about engrams till I'm blue in the face.
Blue engrams.
But I never got the impression from my time playing Anthem that it was in that Destiny sphere. I can't even tell you. Gosh, that's what I'm saying. I need to go replay it because I'm trying to like rack my brain. It's like, what do I remember about it that I liked? And it's just nothing's coming to mind right now.
There's nothing there.
Yeah,
it's not memorable. Yeah. So in that ending of itself, like, there's nothing that sticks out to you about it. Like,
probably
it's kind of hard to make an impact on players to make them stay. But that being said, it's not that game studios can't turn things around. Like, I really like what they're doing with Destiny 2. I like this continual like update thing that they're doing with it, that they're trying to get players in on it. They've made the base game like free to play, which is also something Final Fantasy 14 did. But I think that's a good model for people, like to be able to like get a really solid, good taste of what the game is, and then just keep updating that system. It's worked for World of Warcraft for years. Like, and I say years, I mean like somewhere close to like what 14, 16 years. Like the game's been going for a hot minute, and there's a reason why. Like you have a base entry package that people are getting into. It's not hard. It's not difficult to access. Just go with it and update what you need to fix. Especially if you think you can pull it off with your finances, like go for it. Give the developers a chance to make up for it. These are good people. So, but we'll get back to you next week about what's going on with that as soon as they give us more information.
You want to go into Final Fantasy now? I know we got. Yeah, it just
Let's
seems
go
like
into Final Fantasy. Yeah, we'll jump into Final Fantasy.
Natural conversation.
Yeah. So, yeah. For those who watched our show, you already know that like I am a huge Final Fantasy 14 fan. They've announced this past week that we're going to get another expansion. We already knew we were getting another expansion, but they finally like revealed what it was. So it's going to be called Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. And it's going to put a conclusion to like the Hydaelyn and Zodiac story, which like really kind of takes off right at the end of the main story quest for the first of the game. You can really kind of get into that just for free, honestly. Like you can download it on like whatever platforms, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, which is, by the way, getting an update to like the PlayStation 5 version. There's gonna be like a demo of it that comes out, and then the like full version of it for the PlayStation 5 is gonna come out. I don't remember what day it's in, but it's in April. It's coming out, so get excited about that. Endwalker is going to have not only a couple new jobs, but it's going to actually like end that story. We're gonna get the start to another story. We're gonna have like a new trust system that's gonna let you have our Estinen in there. I'm not going to say anything more about Estinen because that story's really good. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce his name, because I don't know. I just haven't like done that part of the quest in a while. So yeah, we're gonna get some new primals. We're gonna have anima in there. There's gonna be a new tribe called the Arca Sadara. You're gonna be able to have a residential district in Ishgard. They're gonna update the Golden Saucer. There's gonna be obviously like new weapons and equipment and stuff. The level cap's going up from 80 to 90. They're going to have some new areas, including like Garlemald and Thavanir and the city at Radz-at-Han. I'm pretty stoked about it. There's going to be like a new difficulty rate called Pandemonium. So I don't even want to think about that, because like when you start scaling difficulty in that game, like you really have to know how to play the game. Like higher difficulty stuff in that game is hard. Like I can't imagine them making it more difficult.
They'll find a way, Jay.
Dude, it's stupid hard. But I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to see how it ends. If you want to watch the trailer, you can see some of the Sage stuff in there. Why can't I remember his name? Alphiniad uses the Sage job. It's got like a bunch of like lasers and stuff like that. It's going to be a healer. We don't know what the other job is going to be yet. Yeah, we need more healers. I've been wondering where the Sage job was anyways, so I kind of want to see like what they're going to do with that. But I don't know what the other job is going to be. If I had to like pick a job that I'd want, man, I got a bunch of them in there already. There's one, but I know that that's not feasible.
Wait, what's not feasible?
A time mage?
You mean just not feasible in the game or like in existence? Because we could have a time mage.
I don't really know how you would like implement. I don't know how you would implement that in an MMO. Like maybe you would like just give all their spells like time-based stuff, and they would just continue to like slow enemies down. It would have to be able to work on bosses and stuff, which would like nerf the boss massively. Like I can't imagine fighting a primal and being able to slow it, because that would make it way too easy.
Yeah, I think it'd have to be for duration. I don't know if it'd be like a long-term status effect, because long-term, yeah, that's not.
Yeah.
Then you just get all you need is one powerful one in your party, and then it's over. Because then you're affecting the turns. And then you combine that some status effects, where like there extends the status effect on the boss, and they're screwed. You know.
Yeah, I don't really know what the other jobs going to be like. I have no idea where they're going to take that, but it'll be interesting to see for sure. Yeah.
Which makes me think about some Afrofuturistic anime that I would like to see, which might seem like a confusing term to bring up, but we have it on good authority with Crunchyroll, and Idris and Sabrina Elba, from Idris Elba, Stacker Pentecost, as they're calling him in the Root article, which if you've not watched Pacific Rim, the first one, you should go do that. Not a knock on his son, Jake Pentecost, in the sequel. It's just that movie as a whole I didn't like as much. But, canceling the apocalypse with a fiery speech. Fiery speech. Fiery speech!
He said words. They were good.
So him and his wife had pitched a futuristic anime series to Crunchyroll, which has been picked up. It's going to involve some kind of like bio-powered, like bioengineering, biogenetic like alterations to like humans in the show. People that have more money can get more advanced upgrades. People that don't, so kind of like a class divide in the show. So it'd be very interesting to see what it turns out to be. So Dantai is the name of it. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But it's called Dantai, and we don't have a release date. I mean, because just now the concept got pitched, so there's obviously like no early art concept and things out there yet. But I'd be really curious to see how this goes.
Honestly, I'm just really excited to know that Idris Elba is into anime. Like, that just makes me like him even more.
Have you seen... it may not be college humor. It might be Funny or Die. But there's a sketch where he is like, I'm Idris Elba. I'm a DJ. I'm a producer. I'm an actor. And he just kind of goes down the list of things. So he like is trying to do stuff. And I think it might be a BBC Three skit. And he's just like... so I can do all these, like, so he tries to like defuse a nuclear bomb, or like it's either nuclear bomb or like tries to like stop a nuclear reactor from going for like going overboard, or like having a meltdown, and it just like goes from like open heart surgery. It just kind of like gets more and more ridiculous. So like anime is definitely within that wheelhouse.
He can do it all. He also needs to be a Green Lantern and be Jon Stewart, but we'll see what happens.
That's like the easiest casting. We said Common for so many years.
Yeah.
And there's not a knock on Common. It's just that Idris is right there. He's right there.
Yeah. Like, He's perfect for it. Like, if you don't use John Diggle, use Idris. Both of them are great choices.
Would love it. Who we got? What's coming up next? Who we got next?
We have the Gina Carano has apparently apologized for her social media stuff. We actually just found out about this like 2 minutes before the show started, which this news came out soon. Thanks, Darren. We appreciate all that you do to help us out with the show. So let's get into this. So for a long time, people have been saying that we need to fire Gina Carano because she's been promoting some conspiracy theories and all sorts of craziness. We talked about that on a previous show. You can go back and check that out. We had a really good conversation about like free speech in the midst of like your platform and like the impact that you have on that. So previously she'd said that she wouldn't like back down in the face of backlash against her, but apparently she like at some point or another did swallow her pride and had some private discussions with Disney and like really like just talked with the execs there and apologized for it, what she'd said. I don't know if there's gonna be like a public apology about it. Honestly, it's likely that if she does do a public apology, she will like immediately have like backlash from the other half of the fandom.
No, I think it'll be alright.
Oh no, like she's gonna piss people off if she's like either way she loses. Like
if we are saying that, then yeah, she's not in the best position. But you opened yourself up to some nonsense. Like what are you doing? What are you doing? Trust the science.
I honestly do want to hear what she has to say about it.
I mean that
like I want to know like is it like
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say I want to know if it's like she's just apologizing to like keep her job, or is it like she's really genuinely like learned from this scenario and like she's like, all right, I was bamboozled, like I need to apologize for that and I was wrong.
The first one, just to keep a job, kind of in the Chris Pratt.
You're probably right.
If if it had been someone
you're
sharing
probably right,
an article thoughtlessly once, it'd be one thing. But when you have a pattern of like not caring of what you post, so yeah, even this apology, like one, it's late as hell. So, like, it really should have happened a long time ago. And then, two, that definitely doesn't make me think that you're doing it with, like, oh, I've had a change in my thinking. It's like, probably not.
Yeah. That's not to say that people can't change, but, like, if she has changed and is, like, really, like, no, I really do believe the science now, like, we kind of want to see that pattern going forward and you being outward about that and letting people know because you have, again, we talked about how you have a platform that impacts, like, use that platform for good. If you really believe that these things you were wrong about these things and you change, like help others see those same things that were coming, people who are coming from your perspective, because you can speak to them better than any of the rest of us can. So hopefully that's what happens. Maybe it's a force from the dark side of the force to the light side. We'll see. Ideally, anyways. Oh man! But speaking of like more Marvel or more Disney related things, we got to see. Yeah, we got to see a trailer for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and oh my gosh, it looks great. I don't even care what the plot is. We just like so this whole trailer, like we just got to watch like the two of them go into like full buddy cop mode and like just bag on each other the whole time. And like I was like, I don't really care what happens in the show. Like I'm here for that.
Yeah, just imagine them bickering in the car in Civil War, and when they're in the in that shot talking about Spider-Man. Like, everyone's got a gimmick, you know. Just
what is the name? Night Monkey, right?
But yeah, that is what they. Also, second, that's a terrible. So, I mean, there are some things we knew going into this. Is that even though Cap gave Sam the shield, the U.S. government does not like that fact whatsoever. Plus, lest we forget, Sam is still a wanted criminal. You know, just.
Here we go again, huh?
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
There are some things in Wandavision that are like finally kind of catching up. Like Civil War, as much as I dislike some ways that it didn't have an impact, those things are catching up to those characters now. So we can talk Wanda more Wednesday because those things are catching up to her, and then definitely in Sam's case, like it's not just. I mean, there's the black angle. So that's definitely going to be a piece of it, of like, we don't want no black guy.
Yeah, for sure.
So they can kind of play off the pop culture and like the in-universe thing. But there's also the legitimate, like, hey, we wanted you to do what we told you to do, and you didn't do it. So definitely don't want you to be the next face of Cap, even though, again, spiritual successor and who we gave it to should trump what they want.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we're gonna be like have some time to actually like get into that transition instead of just like skipping over it and like he's Cap now. Like, I really want to see that tension on screen, just to like see how like what does the world react to, like how do they adapt to this, and him being partnered with Bucky and into that I think is a really good like, because like Bucky's been through the whole world hating you and like having this opinion of you ahead of time and not giving you a chance. So he's like, that's the perfect person for him to be with. And we know Sam's going to be arrogant about that. So it'll be really interesting to see that tension.
Yeah, I mean, and that, yeah, it just stands out so strong from the trailer. It's like now we get an extended show of those clips and like bantering back and forth with one another. You and me were talking about this offline. Zemo, the Zemo mask. Oh gosh.
Oh yes! Yeah. Yeah, Zemo's back. He's got the mask.
He's got unfinished business.
Because like at the end of the movie, like he's still alive there. He's one of the few villains they didn't kill off.
Who is he talking to? That's the thing because I don't know whose voice that is. That's you know, Strucker's gone, so we know Baron Strucker's not going to be involved in this. It could be another Hydra member that we're just like not thinking about.
Well, I suspect that we're going to get some information about Hydra from Wandavision too.
You know, I wouldn't mind seeing an AIM
like agent
here either. Like maybe change it up a little bit and then be like, all right, we're going to start introducing some of the other agencies that are like crappy for the world, or maybe we're here to help. You know, after the chaos.
Didn't AIM show up in Iron Man 3 though?
A little bit. I would like, you know, just like we haven't heard from them in a little bit, so let's play with them. That's all I'm saying. It's like they've been in the back burner, so like we could bring them forward now. And it's like, and it wouldn't be surprising me that some organizations would take advantage of the snap, being like, "Ooh, the world's in chaos, and the Avengers are nowhere to be found."
Sweet Jesus. I mean, how old?
That's true. This is like 5 years. There's a gap of like 5 years of stuff having happened that we don't know about yet, and we're really only getting into a little bit of that in WandaVision.
I do hope Falcon and Winter Soldier takes the snap a little more seriously, or continues to take it seriously, like WandaVision has done. Because I think I was talking on the show before.
Yeah.
I just don't like this whiplash effect of. And again, this Spider-Man: Far From Home is fantastic. Ragnarok is fantastic, but if you watch Ragnarok into Infinity War, I don't like that feeling whatsoever. It's not good to me.
Right.
And if you watch Endgame into Far From Home, now they're calling it the blip and kind of picking at the fact that these are teenagers and kids that have had their lives upended, not just like in an inconvenient summer trip or something. Like they're having to deal with terrible stuff. Like your classmate is taller than you, or like just as a variety of things. Or like maybe someone had some terrible things happen with their parents in the time. Like you can't, like that's not funny. Like that's not funny. You got, I know you want to be lighthearted about it. And lighthearted is different than being comedic about it. If you need like Spider-Man to be light or fair about it, fine. I'm fine with that. But when you're picking and making jokes like, and we could talk for hours about why MCU just like always has to make a joke or always has to pull the tension out of a scene. Like that, to me, that undermines the snap. Like, was it a big deal and did it have impact or not? I'm sorry. Like you can't keep.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes. Oh, that's good. I was gonna say that's one of the reasons. One of my favorite scenes in WandaVision is the scene where she shows up in the hospital after the snap, and like you see the humongous effect that had like in the hospital setting right there. Like all these people just suddenly appear out of nowhere, and like there's insanity and chaos. Like you really get to see the like impact of that for a moment.
And we can talk about this another time, but we don't talk enough about Tony's selfishness there. It is kind of one of those tricky things of like, all right, do you actually want to reset things back to that time point instead of like letting the 5 years exist? And like, I know you didn't want to lose your child. I get that, and those things happened. It's like, but also there's going to be millions of people thrown back in situations where they may not be welcome anymore. Like the people that moved on and got remarried or have new kids and things because you were gone. Like, so it's like you could have. I mean, we'll see if the Stones would let you do it. Like, but you could have just reset back to, like, you bring them back, but everything resets back to that date. And while yes, those things never happened, now no one has to deal with, like, it's gonna suck. You're still gonna have things to deal with, you know, going back to that time period. But at least, you know, that interaction doesn't have to happen. It's, I mean, people read it like, oh yeah, you don't want to disrupt the time. Like, no, Tony's being selfish. He wants Morgan to stay alive, and I get it.
Oh yeah.
I get it from his. I get it, but you're not thinking about what that gets to do to everyone else. Like, it's sorry.
No, it's fine. Like, because as a parent, like, I really understand Tony's choice. Like, I don't know that I would have made a different choice in that scenario because, like, that's your kid. Like, you love this child and you want to exist, and it's like you don't know what's gonna happen or whatever if that kid's even gonna exist at that point.
I mean, it's
incredibly hard choice.
Wanda and taking a town, but I mean, Tony's effectively done the House of M. Like, if y'all have read the end of House of M, it's like it may not be mutants that have all of a sudden disappeared and there's only 10% of them left. It's like, but this is like, yeah, this is a worse impact on not just the Earth, on the galaxy. We need to remember, it's not just we're only getting to see what's happening on Earth, and I'm hoping Thor and the Guardians will get to see what happens more, like how has the galaxy been impacted by this. That's a really big deal, and it's just kind of under the rug. We don't need to talk about it. Okay, yeah, I could be there for a while. It upsets me.
We could. That's like a whole like segment of a show in itself, at least. But yeah. So how about Sharon Carter showing up?
I mean, I expected that. I didn't know if she had been cast, but I did kind of expect, like, well, she's back. You know, like, let's utilize her because she only got a couple seconds of screen time in Winter Soldier and Civil War. So it's like, let's let her actually be a. I don't know if she's going to end up being a SHIELD agent or not. Like, I don't. We'll see what that actually ends up being. But that would be cool.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's on Sword. And now we know there's problems.
Yeah, because Sword's a thing now. So, but we don't really even know like what Sword is at this point.
You know, there's some like it's
gonna be like Rambo takes over for other
things we need to talk about. There's
oh yeah,
like,
there's a ton of stuff there. There's so much. Like, if you think you know what's going on in WandaVision now, really don't.
So many people just kind of like, oh yeah, and that's gonna happen.
Like, there's so many things that are underlying that I'm like, no, that's not right. Hold on, something's.
Like, there's 4 episodes left, and we could really drop into some. Like, I think a lot of the big pieces have fell into place that you would expect. So, I think we're really getting ready to get into some. I did not
unexpected territory.
People are talking about the universe has changed. I'm like, hold on to your pants.
Yeah, like, if y'all really think Wanda's in control of this, like, really, like,
I mean, yes, but okay. Let's not get we'll do more spoil. If y'all want more spoilers, we'll do it on Wednesday. Because I know some folks are kind of like maybe haven't started or wait until it's done to like stream the whole thing. But for the folks that are.
Yeah, we won't tell you what happened in the most recent episode.
We do have some rumors. Like, actually, let's get into Jimmy Woo real quick. So
yeah,
if you've noticed, like there was like some different memes and things out there about, you know, I would love to see a Jimmy Woo series on X-Files, and specifically not Stephen Woodford. Sorry folks, I can't remember his last name. It is a Steven. I was just talking about this on Nerd. I was just talking about a video I posted on the page. But there've been some like things jokingly put out there, and him on his Twitter was talking about, because he is also a screenwriter, like he's been a showrunner, and I forget exactly what it was, but he pitched the idea of like, hey, what if there was like an X-Files Jimmy Woo style, get Darcy in there, maybe even Rambo, bring her into it, like kind of an extension of Sword,
and Disney was like, you know what? Yeah, what if there was a show like that?
Week, I don't know if it's today or sometime this week, but Steven will be going out to do his pitch. Like, he is so excited. He's like, oh shit, this is overwhelming. I can't believe this is actually happening. So he'll get to pitch that. So some things that lend some credence to this. So one, if you've not read Agents of Atlas, that is Jimmy Woo running an agency that he puts together of different metahumans, mutants. Shang-Chi, that the new movie that's coming out, he originates out of.
Oh, hey, I'll be right back.
He originates out of Agents of Atlas. Miss Marvel also originates out. Oh, sorry, she never technically became a team member of Agents of Atlas, but since we're gonna get the movie of that anyway, this could be a way to bring her into that. So there's some really cool connections that have already been made, and had some get some lesser or kind of like some B, C list superheroes to come into that. So Randall Park running that would be amazing. I would love to see that. And then getting Darcy on the team and getting Monica Rambeau on the team, I think that would be fantastic. And he's already expressed, him and Darcy, Kat Dennings, Randall Park and Kat Dennings have already expressed their interest in doing that. Randall specifically has pushed the Agents of Atlas, which is what I definitely think it should be. It's like just make Agents of Atlas. You can add the X-File element into it where it's a little more weird cases. Because, hey, like we were talking about the Snap, as much as I dislike how much they've jokingly covered it, like we know, at least if I remember correctly, Jimmy's been there all of the 5 years from the Ant-Man and the Wasp till now. So he didn't just like appear. So he's probably got, like, you could go back and have him cover some old cases. You could fast forward to them working together on new cases. Like, the sky is the limit as far as like what he could cover. And or you maybe don't go back to the 5 years. It's just like, hey, but because of the Snap, there's been a lot of stuff that's coming out of the woodworks now, you know. And oh god, I want to share my theory for what I think is going to happen at the end of WandaVision. Again, we'll save that for Wednesday.
I've got an idea.
If that happens, Jimmy's plate would be very full. So there's multiverse things out there, but there is specifically one thing that can happen that's very House of M, that if that happens, his plate would be just, the world would be crazy. And this just seems like a slam dunk. Marvel, make it happen. Even if maybe Langford. Sorry, I just can't remember his last name. But yeah, if he gets to run it, cool. If not, let someone show run this. Actually, why not let Randall Park pick someone to help run and direct the show? You know, he's got Hollywood credentials and worked with that. If he want to get his buddy, because we were joking. The funny thing is, we were joking about like an Ocean style, or sorry, him and Daniel Day Kim were joking about an Asian Ocean style 11, or Ocean's 11 like Asian style, like that them would be the buddies, like they would be the Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and that. But you know, you could let Randall keep doing Jimmy Woo. Daniel Day Kim has directed TV. He could come in, slide into that. I'm just saying, it'd be a way to get some good representation in there. And like in the producing and in the casting automatically, and then bring in. I'm sorry. I just feel like that's such a no. I feel like such a no-brainer to me, but
there's so many good things that can happen with this, and like I don't know if you talked about this already, but like I love the chemistry that they have on screen. Like they're both such good, charismatic characters and actors. Like, I'm really glad that you brought Jimmy Woo back as a character. Like, it's good to see that he's going to be like kind of a normal thing in here, because in Ant-Man, he was great. And then Darcy, like, I don't know why they haven't been using her more, because she's one of the best, like, she's one of the best parts of the Thor movies, honestly.
You know, and I think it's just because the Thor movies have been so bland until Ragnarok. And then obviously she didn't get to be in Ragnarok. So it's like, yeah, she might have been the best pieces, but it's just like, people don't think about those movies. And then the only thing they're thinking about now is Ragnarok and I can't remember the Rock guys or Taika Waititi when he's voicing the Rock guy. Korg. Yeah. I think that's what's in people's minds. But yes, think back to Darcy wisecracking in the restaurant or in their lab in the first movie, or controlling the portals and like trying to make that work at the end of the second one. Which until Dormammu, you know, Dark World is a terrible movie, but I had like the end sequence there where they're going for the portals until Dormammu comes up. I think was one of the most inventive sequences. You know, even again, Dark Elves, it was like, it
was very cool. Cinematically, it's beautiful.
Like, doesn't make any sense. Who cares? But
nope.
I would put that up there in the Dormammu. Just I've gotten the bar, like, so good, so good.
Yeah. And memes. You can inspire a bunch of memes, then you've got some marketing done for you already.
I mean, and that's the other thing that's why I feel like it's a no-brainer. It's like the people have spoken and said they want this. We've identified good chemistry out of your show. You may not have realized it, but it's there. And I'm not saying milk it. I'm saying, but it's a nice little ember. Now nurture it. And I'm glad the fan, like I was saying in the video on our page, like if go at Marvel, keep grabbing that screenshot at Marvel with this. Be like, we want to see this. It's like we want to like keep, because it's clearly having an effect. They're clearly listening. And it just seems like it would be a great story.
Yep.
It'd be like, oh, we get great stories, and it came out of an awesome place of people coming together. I would love it.
Right. It would really bring your fandom together right now, and especially because like we don't really know what to expect in this post-Endgame universe. Like, honestly, and WandaVision's done a really good job of getting people kind of pulled back in with their character choices, bringing Darcy and Jimmy Woo back in. This is all really good stuff, but if you built a series that was based off of the the fans' requests for something that honestly is just a really good idea and is not overly fan servicey, like this is a good way to get your audience reinvested in what's going on now that all of our other characters that we were invested in are gone.
I have to admit that and take back something I said before WandaVision. Now we still remains to be seen with as many shows as we're going to have coming out, how they can keep my interest and or try to keep all that information together as we go from show to show. So I do think that is still a valid concern. But, we talked about Endgame kind of like validating parts of Age of Ultron. Because it's like, that movie is like, it's not that it's bad, but there's just some things of like, there's a reason it's not as beloved as the other three, like original and then Endgame and Infinity War. So Endgame did a lot of work to be like, hey, this movie's valid. There's lots of good parts in here, and we're gonna they did things intentionally of like we're gonna go back to the scene in Thor: The Dark World. We're gonna go back to like the prediction he had in Age of Ultron, why that's important, and the things you saw from the Stones in that movie. And I love that WandaVision, as much as it's taking from her ending and Endgame, which more people should pay attention to. It's like, think about that. Think about where Endgame left. I know there was a deleted scene. It's like, ignore that for a second. Think about how she left that. And then what we're watching now, something doesn't sync up. And I'm going to leave it at that. But it's getting people to rewatch Age of Ultron. And like, okay, how was she acting and what was her motivations in that movie? It's made me think back to her and Vision in Civil War. Where was their relationship at when I was blossoming and building there in Civil War? Infinity War, which, yes, I know she loses Vision at the end of that, but what were they doing to start the show? Or sorry, to start the movie? They were on the run together. Just keep those thoughts in mind. But I like that the movies the show so far is like encouraging you to think about those components of like, yes, it'd be great if we could spend more time with them in those movies, but those threads are there. Like, they may not always know what they're going to do with it yet, but they're there. And now some of
the pieces were laid.
So I love that. So again, I thought it was going to be too much, and it still remains to be seen if it gets too much over multiple seasons of shows and things like that. But so far, it is rewarding studious watchers, and just like sitcom lovers of that format of like, this can tell you some things if you're willing to like pay attention,
Yeah. There's been all sorts of clues that show's laid out. This is not supposed to be a discussion about WandaVision, but there's been all sorts of clues that show's laid out about like what things are happening, and like people who've been paying attention like pick up on it. We're like, oh, okay. So like when you saw people who were like, oh my gosh, this show is great, and you're like, why is this show great? Like, that was what?
Yeah. All right.
But we'll move on from like Marvel stuff now, because we've just gone into the deep end.
Like we said, Commander Ship shows on Wednesday. We will tackle that, and so we'll give you. We have a spoiler graphic, so you will see spoiler come up, so you know not to. If that's not your bag, you can watch the first part of that show, and then we'll let you know when spoilers start.
Dakota, I don't know what that set of things was supposed to be just there.
Like, I can't remember the guy on TikTok that's got the like, I am the hype kid. It almost looks like I can't remember that guy.
Vegeta.
But thank you for the
I am the hype.
Let's see.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Actually, so this is some good nostalgia. Oh, that's their face. They made their own.
Oh,
that's
impressive.
And things they have. So thank you.
I'm gonna need you to show me how to do that.
So, do y'all love
right.
Goldeneye
Yeah, go.
on the N64?
Who doesn't? It's the original Battle Royale.
So this past week, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it. It literally came out on Tuesday,
right after the show.
Tuesday. So I mean,
this always happens.
I think Mondays are a good time for the show. And it's like we've said before, like news is dropping haphazardly. There's no more like Friday or Tuesday drops predictably. So it's all over the place. Anyway, GoldenEye 64, one of the classic shooters of its day and of all time. But if you try to go back and replay it based on modern shooter mechanics, it's hard. And yes, there was the Reloaded one that came out, but again, that's they put Daniel Craig's face on. It's just not the same. It's not a straight up remake of GoldenEye. Well, developers at Rare wanted to do this. They recognized how awesome it was, and as Rare was transitioning from the N64 being bought by Nintendo, I'm sorry, not being bought by Nintendo, being bought by Microsoft, they wanted to release one on the 360, and sometimes you get so far in the game and it gets canceled or scrapped, and you're like, oh, there's maybe sometimes things get leaked, and it's like, here's some playable pieces of the thing, and you're like, oh, okay, I can kind of see what you're trying to do, or a concept art comes out. So the leak that came out, some of you have already been playing it, some of you have already seen it on Twitch, but just for those that are not caught up yet, this was darn near done. I mean, it was like, and the developers have talked so far about like, yeah, there's probably like 90 bugs that we need to work out. 90. That might sound like a lot, but that's not.
It's not.
Like you could probably, like, depending on the severity of the bugs, you could probably work that out like without crunch. And by crunch, we mean like having a crunch or like extra overtime and stuff to get the game. Like, so it is mind-boggling how crazy this game is and how polished and how good it looks for 360 graphics and things. And it didn't come out. It didn't come out.
Yeah, like if you're that close to the finish line, like why not just do it?
So Ars Technica has a good article that came out this week. Talks about the number of bugs. Talks about why it didn't ultimately get released. And some of it does have a little bit to do with licensing. Although since this has come out, a lot of people are trying to blame Nintendo. It's not Nintendo's fault because they no longer held the even though again GoldenEye came out in N64. This would not have counted towards that copyright. So it is really about Microsoft and their usage rights. Eon, which is the family, like the Broccoli family, that owns the rights to just everything Bond, because again that is their property, and they get to like dole out. Like so, other companies might own pieces of like how it gets. Like Sony owns the right to distribute it in the films and so on and so forth. And then I forget someone else. Like they are broken up in different chunks of who owns what, but it's still the Eon production company still owns that ultimately. So they could have still given the blessing for this to come through, and it's just painful to see something this completed, like, and someone saying, nope, no mas.
Yeah, I don't. It's disappointing because it's one of the greatest games ever. But maybe like all this public feedback will be like, all right, we'll go ahead and like update this and release this. Like even if you release it in like Xbox 360 form where it's compatible with everything else, like I would take it.
So yeah, definitely check out the article. It gives them more detail on the the dynamics behind it, why they started it, and where some of like the things fell apart down the cracks or down the road. So the interesting thing, so one, if you want to play it, we're not advocating for like the official opinion. Like I have to just give you the legal spiel. Nerd Union's not advocating for you to go download a leaked copy of a game, but we're also not telling you that it doesn't exist online. So there's been recent attempts to take down the sites where it's been available. So let your imagination run. If again, we're not telling you to go download it, but
we're just reporting what's going on. That's what this show is about, reporting the latest news in the nerd world.
But it is quite awesome. It is quite solid. I would be lying to you if I said it wasn't, because it is quite awesome. It's sharp, man. sharp. It's just so. I mean, they're pixel blobs effectively back on the N64. It is not a knock on N64. It did what it could do.
Those pixelated blobs hold a dear space in my heart and the hearts of millions of nerds everywhere.
Plus some quality of life adjustments with the control scheme and like having the 2 sticks on the 360 just makes a huge world of difference. And again, it's just one of those, grab an old 64 controller, it works for what you needed it to do then, but trying to port that specific control scheme to, no, it had to update, and I'm glad that they did that. So.
Yeah, there was no way it was going to happen otherwise, because like you can't really be sitting there like holding the Starship Enterprise in your hand anymore. Like that's just not gonna work.
And some people have made some comparisons to the Perfect Dark remake in the Rare collection, and it's very interesting to see things that were in that kind of live on in the Goldeneye and the canceled Goldeneye remake. So you can kind of see some things of like, oh, so there's some things you played with that maybe made it into here, or vice versa. Like, and again, the Ars Technica article kind of goes into that a little bit of how they played off of one another. So yeah, licensing is an issue, but it's not insurmountable, and we've heard some things through the grapevine. Can't confirm this yet, but there might be. Hey, just in the same way we're getting Jimmy Woo, I would recommend you keep adding Microsoft and Rare about this. It might behoove us if we want to see an official arcade release on like Xbox Live, so that we could play it in the right channels. It would not hurt to keep saying like how much you want to see this, you know. The other thing, again, unconfirmed thing I can say is I don't know that it was leaked, or I can't say that it wasn't leaked for that purpose, because we know that happens.
Yeah, that's this is like the part of the game world that like people don't know about, is that like people intentionally, or definitely not intentionally, leak materials sometimes, and it's definitely not a result of like a marketing scheme, because no one would do that.
So, it's like I think about the Galaxy phones and things like that, iPhones and things like, oh no, someone got the photo came out, or that feature got leaked out. It was like, sure it did. Sure.
We should just like do an episode like revealing the secrets of like the reviewer world versus like the public perception of it. Like just like go ahead and just like lay it all out and be like, this is what's real, this is what's not real.
That would be a good episode. It'd be a good chat.
There's no lizard people that we know of.
Let's see. But something that it's probably never going to come back based on, and I've paid for this as a service, like, because I just wanted to see.
Atari Online, right?
No, I mean, Atari Online's got a better chance of staying around. And like the Atari VCS system, like, so Google Stadia is a streaming, like if you've not played it, it's like the xCloud or like the upcoming Switch Online streaming service and like things like that. And now on my internet, which is funny, it's like on the internet I have now having gigabit up and down, Stadia's not bad. I mean, if that was all you had and you couldn't afford a PlayStation or Xbox, all right, it's not bad. It's like it does what it needs to do. Like there's some latency issues, and again, your internet does need to be good. It can't just be like subpar. Like if you're only getting up like 20 megs, that's gonna hurt. But
yeah, and when we say good internet, we don't mean like you're paying for gig internet. Like your infrastructure has to support that.
But Stadia is effectively dead. There is no upcoming projects coming after 2021. So anything that was this year, 2021, is going to should get completed. But as one of our notes, the Terraria developers have decided they're not going to, like they were going to port over to Stadia and have decided to pull out and not continue that. Effectively confirming what we're already saying is like, we can't trust that this thing's going to be around. And obviously it looks like Google is pulling out. And they get a little scathing in how they describe, like, imagine you were putting money into like Google Gmail, and Google pulled, you know what, we don't need that project. We don't need that project anymore, and just bloop. And Google has a history of doing this to some like solid products. You know, I liked Inbox by Gmail, and yes, you do see parts of that in in the current Gmail, but Inbox was just a vastly superior email experience. Do you hate doing emails? Like, if you did it in Inbox, I'm not saying it was like, man, I love doing emails, but at least the workflow was so natural to your eyes of like, oh, okay, now I know what to pay attention to, and oh, this is most relevant, things like that. So I mean, and we can go down the list of things that have been canceled by Google. So it's not surprising seeing Stadia be the next casualty in that, but I mean, it's a hurt for cloud gaming. It's a big push setback. I'm trying to think. For Google's legitimacy in this space, if they're ever going to come back into it, is also a hit. Like if they come back in a year later and be like, hey, we got another, everyone's going to tell them to shut up. I mean, seriously, like, right? I mean, would you trust them?
Yeah, not at this point. Especially because like they have a history of canceling projects like this. And like, I'm not really sure what they were going from with Stadia. Like, I know that they wanted like the streaming platform and to like jump into the game streaming thing ahead of time, which, yes, that can be a thing that the future goes to. But like, there was nothing ever appealing about it. Like, as far as my understanding, at least how they marketed it, it was you still had to pay full price for the game. You just streamed the game. Like, if I'm gonna pay, and I guess there's an appeal if like you don't own a console. But at the same time, I don't own an Xbox. I can just pay a monthly price for the Game Pass and just play on my computer. Just pay for a controller, which is no different than Stadia, and it's a better experience. And I can just download the game to my computer, so I don't have to worry about trying to have a good internet access. Like,
you know,
this like there's your competition is light years better than you on this. And maybe that's why they're canceling.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, because having played on xCloud, like again, but on my previous internet, that was, and again, my internet's good for multiplayer, but again, that's still doing some processing on your Xbox's end. Playing xCloud, you've got to have like that internet piece is important. So now my current connection would be good for that. Previously, it would not have worked that well. So I get it from a like, depending on if you're in a rural area, like, forget it. Like, it's just not, if you're gonna have like any kind of like HughesNet or satellite kind of connection, just no. It's not, unless it's gotten better since the last time I played on someone. Like, I just doubt that very much.
You know, I was gonna say, you know what I don't understand that they don't do? Why don't they just like add the subscription services for these other things? Like, not even like Game Pass. Like, if they could get Game Pass on there, that'd be awesome. But like, why don't you have like EA Play or Ubisoft Uplay, like all the other stuff that lets you like subscribe to their services and have access to their games? Why don't you just do that instead? Well, like, focus on that.
I was watching the WAN show on the Linus Tech Tips on the they're on their YouTube channel, and they brought up a few things I want to bring up here because I think it was a really good thing to think about. So why didn't you know how Microsoft bought Rare, Bethesda, and so on and so forth, and they're like, Google's got Microsoft money. Google has Microsoft money.
Yeah.
So why didn't you?
Google doesn't care about money.
Buy a small developer and be like, hey, can you make us a FPS? Doesn't have to be Call of Duty. Just like, can you make us a solid FPS? How hard would that have been? You could have bought a small RPG company and be like, hey, can you make an exclusive RPG for us? I mean, you throw some Google money at somebody, someone's going to bite. It may not have been as big as, like a Bethesda or like things like that. Like, I understand that. Cool. But you would have got someone. And like a team that...
Fun fact, Google Money. I was going to say, fun fact, Google Money is actually the next digital currency to come out. Wait for
Google Dogecoin. Google
Get
Dogecoin.
your investment ready.
I'm not telling you.
It's not even a coin, it's just a G.
It's like, but wait, what? What is it? It's like, it's Google Coin. What?
Google Money.
Google Wallet. So yeah, it's just, the other, like, yeah, there was a subscription you could pay. They would get you some discounts on the games and like a free game every month, if I remember right. But to your point, like, even if they didn't buy a studio, and again, I agree. I think they were on a good track there. Like, yeah, you probably could have bought someone and brought that in. But to your point about like the Xbox Game Pass, that would have been a no-brainer. It's like, even if you weren't going to buy a studio, it's like, but you need to be competitive with what, and again, pricing yourself competitively to Game Pass and being like, hey, you don't have to own a console. You get the Stadia Pro package and you get the controller, and you're paying the same amount as Game Pass to get Game Pass games. That would have been pretty attractive. That would have been pretty killer. I'm not saying I would have done it because I just like having my physical console, but if I were a young kid that's like, I ain't got the money for wait, I can pay how much? Mom and Dad, when we had gigabit, sign me up. Right?
Yeah, like, that's a easy deal. Get that controller in the mail, plug it on up, good to go. Like,
and to your point about EA Play, like,
I don't know why.
I don't think it would have been crazy to think Google could have pulled that off also. Being like, because I'm sure EA would love another market. Because EA likes money.
Yeah.
So if it's like, oh yeah, we'll bundle your EA Play in with the Stadia package and the monthly. Yeah. But the full price games and Google's track record, no one wanted to pay full price for those and get burned. Knowing that, like, it'd be different if, like, somehow Steam had been the back end of the Stadia environment, so that even if Stadia goes away, hey, you still have access to your games, and if you buy a PC now, you can still play them. That would.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. So what about all the people that bought games on Stadia?
Oh, they're screwed. When the service, they're screwed.
Just
That's why I didn't buy any. I paid for the service to test it, but
physical
I didn't
copies
buy
win
it.
again.
I'm not doing that. I'm not stupid. And I think that's been the hesitation for people. No one wants to put the money down. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, again, if you do that on Microsoft or PlayStation or Steam, people are like, yeah, but those things, they're not going anywhere. It's like, they're not going anywhere. Even if Steam sold its thing to someone else, like, but the service would still be, you know, even if someone bought it, it'd be like, but that service is still going to happen. You know.
Yeah. I just don't really understand what the appeal of Stadia was supposed to be. And, like, if y'all are watching this and you do understand Stadia and you're like, no, I really like Stadia, like, please let us know, because we just don't get it.
Would not be surprised, though, if someone that wanted to get into the game buys the servers or buys pieces of the service and, like, adds it to their own architecture. You know, we just talked about Nintendo upgrading theirs, and if I remember, because I want to say it was with Google's stream, or it might have. I don't want to misspeak because it might have been Google, but I know Nintendo's streaming service, like, because it wasn't based off of PlayStation or it wasn't based off of PlayStation or Xbox's architecture. I want to say it was based off of Google Stadia's server design, and, like, they were leasing some stuff off from them. So again, that's gonna be some discounted stuff that Nintendo could just, wow, why don't you come on over here, and we'll like, whoa.
So you're saying I might not have 17 frames of input lag in Smash Brothers?
No, like, if you're gonna try to play competitively, you should not be using a streaming for that. This is not who this is designed for. Like, it's the same reason I still own my 4K movies. It's like, there's just not a lot of 4K being pushed through streaming, like, even if they say it is. So it's like, that's why I still own those. But for the regular consumer that's fine with 1080p or less, you know, it's in that kind of same ballpark. So, like, yeah, if you're okay with the input lag that's going to exist there, then Stadia and again, I think Nintendo should buy them. I think Nintendo should be on the phone with Google right now and be like, yes, this could bolster our streaming ability on the Switch. Let's do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome, because I would love them to have really, really good servers. It'd be great. Even if even if it ends up only shaving, like, a few frames off of stuff, like, I would love that.
It's important, though. It's important.
It is.
So let's see in the comments. They were cheering. We got some cheers in the comments. And then Doug said, rip Google Reader. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. Actually, I'll reference Lions Tech Tips again to go check out the Tech Linked series where they do. It's literally just a graveyard of things Google has killed, and it's kind of going through app by app and being like, "Hey, this was a cool thing. Did you like being able to do this thing? Well, you can't anymore because Google killed it. What about this one? Did you migrate to this platform? Ooh, sorry, Google killed that too."
That needs to be a Saturday Night Live skit. I feel like they could appropriately pull that joke off. Or inappropriately, I guess, but it's okay because it's Saturday Night Live. Basically. So the other thing that we wanted to talk about tonight are verbs, whatever. See, this is when I start thinking about my Spanish and the conjugation of like the verb to be is like so ridiculous, but we're not going into that. We're going to talk about the Golden Globes, the SAG, and the NAACP award reactions. There's some opinions.
We said this on. I guess I said this last week here as well, and I was going to dive into. So what we talked about in Commander Ship Show was that as much as there was some probably some racial and misogynistic issues with the Golden Globes specifically, but their categories and the way they allot people into slots has always been so trash that it's hard for me to like. It's not that I don't care about it; it is important. But they're just not the award ceremony that I care about it the most. The Oscars trying to fix and make things more inclusive and get more nominations and things in there, at least being in the mix so they can be considered. Totally think that's great, and I also think even the Golden Globes, as trash as they are historically, I do applaud them for their attempts. It's still just, but you haven't had a good track record over that anyway. So I'm not surprised that this is still messy on your end. So yeah, anyone that's gonna you're right to call them out. If people want me to be like, why aren't you more upset? I'm just like, because they haven't been good. They haven't been good. People haven't been watching, so they haven't been trying hard, and they just haven't been able to get away with it. So just it's kind of one of those, yes, call them out, but if you want to see me get upset about it, I can't. I've known they're not good, and that can extend to the Oscars to a degree as well. I just think the Oscars have done just a slightly better job. But again, there's just not going to be outroar for me, And go check out the nominations. Some of them make a lot of sense. Some of them are weird. Ma Rainey being left off from a lot of the Golden Globe attention. It's how? So Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman definitely got noms for their performances. But as far as the production and creation of the movie, it almost got almost no attention, which is just really. It's just really odd. And then some of the things that did get attention in that best director or best movie category, it's kind of, Hamilton in the best musical / comedy is also I almost feel like, should you get that for sticking effectively a camera in the spot? And it's not bad.
Yeah,
I'm glad we got to watch Hamilton. I do appreciate that, but that's not Rent back, what was it, 04, 05, was an actual movie adaptation. Les Mis, even though if I don't like, is it Gerard Butler singing? No. Maximus, Russell Crowe.
Not Gerard.
Even if I don't like his singing in it, but the movie's at least an adaptation. It's an actual, we have shot scenes on, it's not just a camera, and I'm not trying to belittle people to put together the production, because it's more than just a camera on a stage. But that being considered when there's some other options that could have been there, it's a little lackluster.
Well, seriously, honestly, Ma Rainey should be definitely over Hamilton, because as a musical person, I like Hamilton being streamed. I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought I was going to hate it. But it is a play. I'm watching a play, and the only reason it ended up getting streamed was because of COVID. It wouldn't have even remotely been there. That wasn't something that was going to happen otherwise.
And they have been talking about it, but I feel like more of because that's the reason they even recorded that, was just so I could have it on file in case, not necessarily, it wasn't planned for COVID. I think it was more of just a fact of good Lord, just accessibility of Hamilton. People have not been able to see it. So that had been part of the reasoning for having that recording, just we might want to release it at some point. And yes, you're right. COVID definitely increased, sped that up. And then Terrence saying it was going to release in theaters in October. Yeah. So So it
I didn't know that.
was going to release sometime last year, and then it just COVID made it more convenient to like, let's drop it in July, get some more people on Disney Plus, because at that point people weren't watching Disney Plus a ton, aside from Mandalorian. So they were trying to like, we gotta get people in the digital door, so to speak.
That's my bad then. Sorry about that. But again, it is just a video of a play, which it's an excellent, excellent play, musical. But it's not like Sweeney Todd or any of the other stuff we named off, or Hairspray or any of that. Like, it's not a movie. It is a play that I'm watching from like a movie format, but it is not a movie.
So it's just...
So
now, whenever they make the actual movie of it, then let's have that conversation. I'd be down to have that conversation.
Yeah, it's not Newsies or anything.
Get out, Newsies.
I like Newsies.
If you are looking for more black entertainment, I think the Screen Actors Guild Awards, the SAG Awards, got some better. Like, I think they did a pretty good job of who they put together. And then double NACP. I always do that. I always put the double. It's just like I always put the double first. So the NAACP. Sorry, folks. I can feel my ancestors getting ready to beat my.
Give me your black card.
So yeah. But if you're interested in some black productions that happened this year and getting attention on those, I would definitely check out the awards and people that were nominated in those categories for the NAACP awards to kind of get an idea of some of the discrepancies that have happened. And then it's like New York Times. I might end up putting an article out as well. But there's definitely some the Stephen Yeun movie. Damn, I can't remember the name of it. Sorry, I won't try to ramble on it. But I'll try to put some links to it. There's just some other minority POC movies that also just didn't get a lot of attention with the Golden Globes. Now the Oscars might do a better job, but we won't know until later this month. No, actually, I apologize. We won't know until March. I think it's March 5th. We won't know until March when those nominations happen, and then later in that, then obviously the Oscars happen later. Later in March or April, which is a lot later than it normally is. Normally, we would be talking about Oscars right now. Golden Globes would have already had ready to do their awards and stuff, and then we'd be talking about Oscar noms right now. But the year is weird, so we're just not getting that the way we normally would. But I would be willing to bet a paycheck that the Oscar noms will be a lot better, or like easily better than what we got on the Golden Globes.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious, like, what the Oscar nom is going to look like in the year of COVID.
I mean, so, they were already making the rules easier for streamed, even though they didn't like it. They didn't like doing that, and Netflix had been fighting them tooth and nail for that for a while, like to when they wanted to get Roma nominated or Beasts of No Nations. So like that, they've been on that track. Mm-hmm. This year just continue to knock more walls down of like, I forget what it still had to be. I take that back. I can't remember if it still had to be screened in a movie theater, but they made it a lot. They made it a lot easier. I don't think that was a requirement this year because they had done that in the past. So again, I said Roma, Beasts of No Nations. Like they had to screen. Netflix had to screen it a little in some form or fashion in a theater to a certain number of theaters for it to be considered. Mm-hmm. And I know that had been taken off for this year. I just don't remember exactly what numbers were required going forward for this year. So. Okay,
it'll be really intriguing to see when that happens. We're going to talk about that too, since it's less than a month away.
Our Sonic the Hedgehog predictions though are not going to happen. It might get a technical award. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens. But then so much other stuff came out that it's probably going to get ignored.
Yeah, like at the tail end. Right. Well, that's all that we've got tonight for y'all. As far as announcements, what we got going on this week, you got the Commander Ship Show on Wednesday. It's going to be at 8 o'clock.
Red Shirt Rejects is back. So Red Shirt Rejects is going to be on, not tonight.
Tonight?
So they're going to be on a new home on Thursdays.
Oh.
So that helps space out the calendar a little bit more.
Okay.
And they're not going to do every week. It's going to be bi-weekly. Not bi-weekly, like every other week. And then we still got to talk to the team. Our other show that we've been tossing around for a bit because Red Shirt Rejects is going to be every other week. We might be able to fit another show we've been talking about for a bit in that slot, but I'll let you know that for sure once we, because I gotta talk to Jerry about it. I gotta talk to Steve and some of our other blurs that are interested. So hint, 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 hint. What
We've
that
got
topic
some
might
ideas.
be about. But we will. I'll confer with them, make sure we're good there, and then get going. Oh. The
You don't do anything else this week?
It's nearly completed.
I
You
can see your
yes,
floor.
I can actually see the floor now. We got to figure out some camera stuff. But once we get that done, the rundown, we kept teasing and saying that we're going to do the rundown. I just didn't have space to record it. So that should hopefully, get done with that. Start shooting that and be good there. You might probably even see my boom in the shot as well. And let's see. Gaming.
Also, I want to apologize to our viewers because I know we've talked about like doing like more game streaming and stuff like that, and Kenny and I have both just been overwhelmed with like life lately. I had a bunch of things that hit at my house personally that I had to like go take care of like financially, so I was working a lot. And then Kenny's been working on his own room stuff and trying to get his setup going. So we're sorry. We do want to keep doing that though. Like that's definitely like something we're very interested in. But we want to be open and honest. We're real people. We have lives and we have unexpected things come up. If 2020 was ever an example of anything, it's that unexpected stuff comes up. So
but
we're looking forward to gaming with you guys.
Because I think between me and Jerry, I think the afternoons just weren't. I know not afternoons are a popular time to stream. I just don't think that was going to work out well for either of us. But
no, I've got kids. I'm taking care of them in the afternoon.
I think I'm trying to open up some time like after this show and like 10 o'clock Central or like 10:30 Central, like for just playing when we get done with the shows and staying up. So I'm going to be up anyway. So if you're like, hey, I don't mind watching when I'm up later, like anyways, like let us know when that might be the time frame that we start doing some of these. And just you could put in the comments here. You could put it on Facebook.
Yeah. Anyway. But yeah. You can do. Are y'all doing any watch or show watches or movie watches this week?
On it. So Firefly is this Tuesday. So keep joining in on the Firefly.
Okay.
And if y'all have not done the weeklies, you can definitely binge it and definitely get like it's a short series, so it's not that hard to binge what we've already seen if you want to jump in. And again, they air the things out of order anyway. So I mean that does hurt. If you've never watched it, I wouldn't do it that way. But if you're like, oh, I've seen it a bunch of times. So some people will just watch recaps on the internet or reread recaps and join us that way. I know what it is, technically like cliff noting it. I'm not going to be hurt. I'm not going to be upset. People have been doing that since we started. It's okay. So we do that over on our Discord. So check out the Nerd Union Discord. You can jump on that. So we start at 7 p.m. Central and just chat about the show. And then we want to hear from you on our animated thing because I really want to watch Static Shock. I really want to watch Justice League. And I wouldn't mind doing that Tuesdays after we do Firefly or like maybe Thursdays while the while Red Shirts or something else is going on. I wouldn't mind watching it there either. So I feel like those shows are so short that watching them and then coming to talk about them may not be good, but I think just watching it together would be cool. So let us know. We'd be down to do that.
Be fun. Word. Well, that's all we've got for this week. We hope you had fun tonight hanging out. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like or subscribe button on YouTube or just follow our Facebook page. Just let us know and keep